He was the person that Maureen O'Hara detested the most. Born in Ranelagh, a peaceful neighbourhood of Dublin, Ireland, on August 17, 1920, Maureen O'Hara shone an early and unwavering love for the arts. Her road led to the Abbey Theatre, Ireland's national theatre, where she underwent intense instruction in drama, voice, and illusion, establishing a solid foundation for her career. She was raised in a close-knit Irish family that actively encouraged creativity. Foundation for her future profession. O'Hara had a beauty that was not completely shown in black-and-white movies but would eventually become famous in the Technicolor era thanks to her stunning red hair, porcelain skin, and expressive green eyes. In the late 1930s, she made her big breakthrough when famed actor Charles Blair found her. Enthralled with her skill and with her strong on-screen persona, Blair signed her to his production firm and cast her in Alfred Hitchcock's 1939 film Jamaica. She gained worldwide acclaim for the movie, which also led to her first Hollywood part in 1939's The Hunchback of Notre Dame, in which she played the tragically beautiful Esmeralda opposite Blair's Quasimodo. O'Hara's transfer from British film to Hollywood was relatively seamless after that, and she swiftly became one of her generation's most alluring and intriguing celebrities. In addition to her stunning beauty, Maureen O'Hara was renowned for the unique blend of strength, dignity, and astute intelligence that she displayed on film. O'Hara broke convention by choosing to play women with depth and backbone, characters who were passionate, resilient, and fearless, at a period when many actresses were restricted to passive or solely ornamental roles. To maintain their position, she established herself as a true leading lady of Hollywood's golden age with her commanding performances in movies like Sinbad the Sailor, 1947, The Black Swan, 1942, and How Green Was My Valley, 1941, which went on to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. Her collaborations with renowned filmmaker John Ford are among her most cherished and long-lasting artistic alliances. And renowned actor John Wayne. Rio Grande, 1950, The Quiet Man, 1952. And McClintock, 1963, are just a few of the timeless classics that were made possible by their close friendship and unquestionable on-screen chemistry with Wayne O'Hara. The Silent Guy is frequently praised as their greatest success because of O'Hara's iconic performance as Mary Kate Danaher, an Irish woman with pride and a fiery temper, who captivated audiences with her ferocious independence, intense emotion, and a romance that is still one of the most cherished movies. Her films were famous and still enthrall viewers today thanks to her performances, which were brimming with passion, rebellion, and extraordinary emotional sensitivity. Maureen O'Hara was equally well known off-screen for her unyielding integrity and her refusal to submit to the inflexible the Hollywood studio system standards. She bravely kept her ground during a period when compliance was frequently expected, demanding equitable treatment and maintaining the freedom to take only assignments that aligned with her personal principles. O'Hara had a reputation for having uncommon conviction and character strength since she was known to turn down screenplays that she felt were flimsy or offensive. Additionally, she refused to change her. She famously said that she was the first leading actress in Hollywood who could talk with an Irish accent and never had to lose it, either to soften her identity or to improve her appearance. Over the years, O'Hara continued to make sporadic appearances in movies and television shows while juggling her career, family, and aspirational business endeavors, such as managing an airline with her third husband, Charles Blair, a renowned World War II pilot and entrepreneur. Blair died in a plane crash in 1978, but O'Hara stayed strong and active. She later shared the remarkable story of her journey in her honest autobiography, "'Tis Herself," giving readers a close-up look at the bravery, independence, and spirit that characterized her extraordinary life and career. In 2014, Maureen O'Hara received an honorary Oscar from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, honoring a career of outstanding accomplishments and a significant influence on filmmaking. As a potent reminder that her unwavering energy and grace had not diminished with time, O'Hara once again enthralled spectators by arriving at the ceremony with her signature elegance and quiet strength. Many years prior, in 1939, O'Hara had married for the first time at the age of 19, to an English film producer, and Brown, assistant director George H. A behind-the-scenes affair grew as fast as her budding fame when the two met while filming Alfred Hitchcock's Jamaica Inn. O'Hara, who was young, aspirational, and engrossed in the passion of the moment, made the audacious choice to wed in secret, keeping the union mainly out of the public spotlight under industry demands and competing professions. However, it quickly became apparent that the marriage was impetuous and unsuitable for long-term commitment, and as tensions increased, it was finally dissolved in 1941. O'Hara, who was still juggling her personal life and her career aspirations in Hollywood, was profoundly affected by the event. She remarried that same year, this time to William Houston Price, an American filmmaker, whose through work on Dance, Girl Dance and other professional collaborations, our bond with her deepened. Even though the marriage seemed promising at first, it slowly fell apart due to significant personal issues, including Price's battle with severe alcoholism. On June 30, 1944, Brunwyn Bridget Price, the couple's daughter, was born in spite of the difficulties. A profoundly significant period in O'Hara's enduring and complicated life narrative. One of Maureen O'Hara's biggest pleasures in life was becoming a mother. She fully accepted this job because she was deeply committed to giving her daughter a stable and caring upbringing. However, beneath that joy, her marriage's fissures kept getting wider. William Houston Price's continuous instability and emotional distress were brought into their home by their battle with drinking. And in 1951, O'Hara, determined and fiercely independent, decided to dissolve the marriage after almost 10 years of perseverance. Even though the divorce was extremely painful, it was a pivotal moment that strengthened her resolve to strike a balance between the demands of Hollywood and the obligations of raising her child by herself. In the years that followed, O'Hara developed a deep and enduring romance with Enrique Parr, a powerful political figure and affluent Mexican banker. The partnership, which lasted from 1953 to 1967, turned into one of the most important periods of her life. Packed with passion and depth of feeling. Charming and moreover, Parra gave O'Hara access to a new cultural realm that combined refinement, diplomacy, and elegance. Despite never being married, their relationship lasted for almost 15 years, providing her with stability during a time when she was experiencing emotional turmoil. In the end, their split was probably caused by cultural differences and the demands of public life. However, the bond made a deep impression on O'Hara's heart. Long after they had parted, she still spoke warmly and lovingly of Parr. Marino O'Hara would not discover what many consider to be her genuine and lasting love until 1968, when she was 48 years old. Marino O'Hara married Charles F. Blair Jr., a very successful man, in 1968. Aviator whose remarkable career included leadership as chief pilot for Pan American World Airways, service as a U.S. Air Force brigadier general, and a pioneering role in commercial transatlantic flight. In addition, Blair was the creator of Antilles Airboats, a Caribbean-wide seaplane service. O'Hara was immediately captivated by his keen intellect, courageous nature, and limitless sense of adventure. Blair was the one who gently urged her to move away from the spotlight and embrace a more quiet, grounded life. Their marriage was based on a strong bond and mutual respect. After a few years of marriage, O'Hara decided to give up acting in order to support Blair's aviation endeavors and take a well-earned break from the fast-paced world of Hollywood. Eventually, the couple made their home in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where they spent a contented and tranquil existence. Tragic events occurred in 1978 when Blair, who had been married for only 10 years, died in a terrible plane crash while flying one of his seaplanes. O'Hara was devastated by the unexpected loss, which was made worse by major health issues that surfaced shortly after. She received a horrifying, life-altering diagnosis of uterine cancer that same year. In keeping with the tenacity that had characterized her both on and off screen, O'Hara bravely battled the sickness and underwent successful surgery that resulted in a full recovery. Even though the years after Blair's passing were marked by sorrow and introspection, O'Hara persevered with honor and dignity, bringing with her an enduring love for the people that helped shape her path. Celebrated for her dazzling presence and strong drive, the flame-haired Irish actress was much more than just a movie star. She was an exceptionally strong and resilient woman. One of the first female celebrities to publicly confront the exploitative, sinister side of the Hollywood studio system was Maureen O'Hara. At a moment when she resolutely refused to put up with the predatory behavior that had become unsettlingly commonplace in the profession, despite the expectation that actors would be submissive, obliging, and mute. She was respected and intimidated by her unwavering honesty, unflinching integrity, and outspoken refusal to comply with the demands of strong men. Long before discussions concerning responsibility in public. Nevertheless, O'Hara's frank critiques of Hollywood's creeps would eventually be acknowledged as a forerunner to the contemporary movements that ultimately revealed systemic abuse. She collaborated with the most renowned actors and filmmakers of the day, including Tyrone Power and John Wayne, as well as innovative directors like John Ford, during the 1940s and 1950s. However, despite the fame and praise, O'Hara quietly endured harassment and unethical behavior from powerful executives and producers, preferring to speak up rather than remain silent. Her refusal to conform to what was then euphemistically referred to as the casting couch culture was the exact reason why her career had suffered, she disclosed in subsequent interviews. She reported being insulted, humiliated, and essentially blacklisted for refusing to allow studio in a rather direct 1957 statement. Producers and heads to touch her. In a time when women who spoke up were quickly silenced or dismissed, this admission was startling. In her latter years, in interviews and memoirs, O'Hara continued to speak without reservation, naming inappropriate behavior even when it implicated revered film giants. One of the most intricate of these connections was her partnership with director John Ford, who had a vital part in her career, but she also personified the moral ambiguities and conflicts of the heyday of Hollywood. One of the most important directors in Hollywood history is John Ford. A legendary person whose films, such as The Grapes of Wrath, Stagecoach, and The Searchers, shaped the golden period of American cinema and helped define the Western genre. However, behind the legend and creative genius was a man of great strife, prone to emotional brutality and instability, who frequently poured his inner torment on others, particularly his actors. Maureen O'Hara was one of the few people who was most affected by this pandemonium. The two worked together on a number of movies, but the most well-known was The Quiet Man, 1952, a cherished film classic praised for its romantic lyricism, romanticized portrayal of Ireland, and enduring chemistry between John Wayne and O'Hara. On screen, the movie exuded warmth and charm, but the truth behind the scenes was much more disturbing. O'Hara publicly discussed Ford's actions in later years, characterizing him as not just demanding but also emotionally manipulative, nasty, and occasionally overtly abusive. She remembered times when he publicly humiliated her on set without warning, exhibiting domineering, envious and contemptuous characteristics that grew worse over time. Because of his strict Catholic background and his inability to handle rejection, O'Hara came to feel that Ford carried an unacknowledged, unreturned obsession with her that burst in rage and hatred. Ford used his power as a weapon, employing intimidation as a means of control, rather than facing his emotions. O'Hara disclosed in one very unsettling story that he had hit her, stating that it was a component of his directing technique while filming. In the studio system of the 1940s and 1950s, such behavior might have been tolerated or accepted, but O'Hara made it plain that she would never tolerate it. In the face of intimidation, Maureen O'Hara stood her ground and refused to be intimidated or silenced. Later on, she thought that John Ford's overwhelming attention was drawn to her because of her own fearlessness, which simultaneously made her a target of his rage and someone he revered, albeit grudgingly. At a period when Hollywood was dominated by strong men and inflexible hierarchies, O'Hara's choice to publicly discuss Ford's abusive behavior is a striking example of her bravery and moral clarity. Crucially, she never aimed to negate or eliminate Ford's legacy. Cinematic brilliance. Rather, she presented a nuanced and truthful picture of a man split against himself, capable of both profound cruelty and stunning skill. A passionate director hampered by his own fears. O'Hara also described how her rejection of improper advances cost her jobs and prevented her from taking advantage of chances, recalling direct warnings from powerful people who told her if she didn't play the game, she would be excluded from the industry. She persisted in the face of these dangers because she believed in her ability and was driven by an unwavering moral compass. Although her candor shocked some journalists, many others respected her for not compromising her dignity. Having grown up in Ireland with strong Catholic principles that prioritized one's own dignity, O'Hara continued to uphold such values throughout the harsh world of entertainment. She persisted in working independently, frequently selecting roles that mirrored her inner fortitude. Women who are fiercely independent, proud mothers, and fiery heroines. Her breadth and resiliency were demonstrated in roles in movies like The Quiet Man, Miracle on 34th Street, and How Green Was My Valley. She further cemented her reputation as a lady of uncommon courage and conviction by demanding justice and respect off-screen, a position few actresses of her era felt empowered to embrace. The cost of Maureen O'Hara's bravery was high. Nevertheless, she persevered and eventually succeeded, refusing to submit to the darker powers of Hollywood. Generations were made possible by her disobedience. Many women who would go on to speak out against mistreatment in the motion picture industry. O'Hara had already ventured to expose the toxic side of celebrity decades before the Me Too movement and before actors like Rose McGowan and Ashley Judd would speak out. Although history has now confirmed her honesty, many people at the time disregarded what she said. As Hollywood started to face its own dark past in her later years, O'Hara was honored for her steadfast independence and moral integrity in addition to her immortal performances. She had lived her life according to her own rules, not sacrificing her morals for short-term benefit. Her legacy lives on not just in the movies she starred in but also in the values she upheld. Maureen O'Hara died quietly on October 24, 2015, in her sleep at her 95-year-old home in Boise, Idaho. Her passing from natural causes signaled the end of a life that had been shaped by both personal tenacity and cinematic accomplishment for almost a century. Hollywood was forever changed by O'Hara's incredible career. She rose to fame as one of the most adored actors of her time thanks to her fiery red hair, stunning beauty, and representations of fiercely independent women. Her legacy in film history was cemented by classics like Miracle on 34th Street, How Green Was My Valley, and The Quiet Man. O'Hara continued to be a representation of grace, bravery, and strength even in her older years. She enjoyed the peaceful seclusion she had long desired in her last decades, away from the spotlight. When she decided to stop performing in the 1970s, she concentrated on personal interests and family. Nonetheless, both viewers and academics continue to be moved by her impact as a trailblazer for women in cinema. O'Hara was buried next to her cherished husband, Charles Blair, in Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. Blair, who was married in 1968, had played a significant role in her later years. A companion who made her happy. Friendship as well as adventure. O'Hara's decision to be buried next to him was a testimonial to their everlasting connection as well as a personal tribute to his untimely death in a plane crash in 1978, which had left a permanent vacuum. She paid tribute to Blair's memory and solidified her position with those who served their nation by joining him at Arlington, establishing a lasting legacy that demonstrated the tremendous depth, bravery, and dignity of her